Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to gravity dye a couple of graphic t-shirts that are patriotic, intended for the 4th of July. I've washed and dried both of the shirts, but they haven't been soaked in soda ash. And they're actually both still dry when I'm going to tie them. So I bought these shirts at Academy. I thought the graphic design was kind of fun and that they would be fun to wear for the 4th of July. The shirts are made out of 60% cotton and 40% polyester, and the fabric is pretty thin. So I didn't really want the shirts to be see-through and decided, hey, let's try to gravity dye the bulk of the shirt. But obviously, I don't want the graphic portion on the front of the shirt to get covered up with dye. So I'm going to isolate that area. And to do that, what I'm doing is I'm using a washable marker and a piece of old sinew. I've wrapped the old sinew around the washable marker, and I'm going to use it to draw a circle around the graphic area. The shirt is really soft, so whenever I try to draw the circle using the washable marker, the shirt kind of moves and wrinkles up. So obviously my circle is not perfect, but it's close enough that I can go ahead and tie a sinew line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the center of the front of the shirt, both at the hem of the shirt and at the neck of the shirt. I'm going to fold the hem in half and make a mark down at the bottom and do the same thing up at the top. Then only grabbing the front layer of fabric, I'm going to grab the mark at the hem and the mark at the neck of the shirt and isolate the very front of my shirt. I only want to tie one layer of fabric. I'm not going to tie the back. So right now, the front of my shirt is folded in half, and the part that you see hanging or up at the top, that is the back of the shirt. When I'm folding the front of the shirt in half, I'm only going to have to fan fold half of my circle. Fan folding a dry shirt that is this soft is a little bit of a challenge. Now that I have the line fan folded, I'm going to tie it with some sinew. Because of the wax coating, sinew is going to keep the dye from going over into my graphic area quite as quickly. I may still get a little bit of bleed over because the shirt is dry, but not as much as if I would have tied it with kite string. To try to keep the graphic area clean, before I cut the sinew off, I'm going to take a small zippered bag and place it over the tied design. I think this is a snack size bag. I'm going to try to zipper the bag as far down on the shirt as I can, then wrap the excess around the base of this design. Then to try to secure the bag on top of the design, I'm going to wrap a sinew line really tight. By the way, when I tied my initial line with sinew, I added a second line just outside of that initial line as a little extra design and a little added insurance to keep the dye off of my graphic area. Once I have my sinew line really tight, I'm going to cut off the sinew, and then I'm going to take this shirt to my soda ash solution bucket, and holding my plastic bag, I'm going to dunk the shirt down into the soda ash. I'm going to move it around, kind of squish it with my hands, make sure I get the fabric really well saturated, and then I'm going to wring it out by hand. To do this process, I'm going to take the shirt outside and I'm going to place it on a metal shelving unit that I have outside underneath the trees. Since this graphic design in the middle of the shirt is more kind of Americana colors, I'm going to use a little bit darker colors for my patriotic colors. So I'm going to use indigo blue and oxblood red from Dharma Trading Company. I'm going to leave just a little bit of space between the indigo blue and the oxblood red on the shirt to allow the colors to kind of move and flow. This shirt isn't really white, it's more like a light gray, and it kind of has a heathered look to it. So it has a little bit of darker gray in the fabric as well. Now I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of additional dry soda ash over the top, and add on some larger chunks of ice. I make these larger chunks of ice. This one was made in a food prep container. I just kind of start gathering up plastic containers throughout the year and use them during the summer for gravity dyes. The larger chunks take a little bit longer to melt out in the heat, and I don't have to replace the ice quite as often. After these chunks of ice melted, I came back and added a few more chunks of ice to the top of the shirt. I've included some process photos so that you can see how the ice melted and the dye moved down the shirt. When the second layer of ice melted, I took this shirt and placed it inside of a plastic tub or tote that had a metal rack down in the bottom. I laid the shirt out and placed the lid on top of the tote, put the tote outside, and allowed it to process out in the heat. That kept the shirt from drying out. Okay, so for the second shirt, this is the same type shirt, 60% cotton, 40% polyester. The graphic design is about in the same area. And this time I'm not really going to draw a full circle, just kind of a half circle on the shirt. I really just need a half circle in order to be able to fan fold it. I'm going to tie this shirt the same exact way, and I'm also going to place the baggie over the top of the graphic on the front so that it keeps the dye off of that area. This shirt is a little bit darker in color than the first one. It's still gray, but it is just a little bit darker. It also has that heathered look to it as well. I actually did this shirt after I completed the first shirt. I rinsed out the first shirt and decided that I liked it so well, I was going to do the same process to this shirt. You know, you can use this process if you have a graphic tee that you would like to maintain the design and the graphic on the front, but either you don't like the fabric that the shirt's on or you just want to spice it up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to speed this process up quite a bit, but if you would like to watch it a little bit slower, there is a settings section in YouTube on the video that you can click into that section and choose your playback speed. You can either speed it up or slow it down. I dyed both of the shirts pretty much the same way. I put this one a little bit further down on the rack though, so I have more of the shirt hanging over the edge. I also added a couple layers of ice to this one, and then once both of the shirts processed for about 24 hours, that's when I rinsed them. I rinsed both of the shirts the same way. I took them to my utility sink, rinsed them in cold water to rinse out the soda ash, and then I warmed the water up to hot, and I continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Then I untied the shirts, took the plastic off the top, and went ahead and soaked them. I ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added a little bit of blue Dawn dish soap to the water, and allowed the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent into my washing machine, and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed both of the shirts, dried both of the shirts, even ironed them, and this is what they look like. Okay, so here is the first shirt, and I think this shirt turned out really fun. I mean, the graphic design on the front of it is kind of a fun and playful design. I was a little bit concerned that my colors, because there was so much polyester in these shirts, was going to be very pale. But the oxblood and the indigo turned out looking really pretty. They're not as light as I thought they were going to be. I also have some really fun little color splits right at the very bottom of that graphic design. My sinew lines also kept the color off of my graphic design really well, and then adding the plastic baggie over the top kept it nice and clean. I don't think I could have kept the dye off of the graphic area without adding the baggie on top. There's just too much wind here. I think it would have blown it into that area. Okay, so here's the second shirt, and I think it turned out looking really cool too. The sinew and the baggie kept the dye off of the graphic part of the shirt, which was what I wanted. So I also think this one looks cool. My red and my blue aren't super pale, and I do have a little bit of the original shirt color right up at the back, up by the neck on the back of the shirt, and that's perfectly fine with me. The purpose of dyeing these shirts was, number one, just to do the process, make the shirts look a little bit fancier. And then the other thing is, I didn't like the fact that the shirts were such lightweight. I don't like shirts that are clingy and that you can see through. So this has taken care of the see-through part for sure. And I just think it makes a shirt that has got kind of a fun graphic on it even a little bit more fun. So I've included photos of both of them side by side so you can just kind of see both of the shirts. I think they both turned out really fun. What do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.